Hello and welcome to another episode of the Electric Norwegian. I'm Mats. Now we're in the MG Marvel R. And this is entirely different than the MG ZSEV we tried last year. Oh yeah, it's entirely different type of power. This is a rear-wheel drive version. They also come with a tri-motor 4-wheel drive version for less than 427,000 NOK. That's just crazy. The only one I know that is a tri-motor anything is Audi, and that's probably 800 and something. It's a lot more anyway. This is a big step up in interior. The material quality here is much better. It's a much more refined, quiet car than the old one. And it looks just fantastic. It's a rear-wheel drive, like I said, and if you do kick it on, you can see the weather, it's snowing. So this is going to be a proper winter test, range-wise and everything. With 95% indicated 264 kilometers. This is going to be fine, probably. Should be fine. It really should be fine. Yes, you can say that leather isn't on from the fattest, thickest leather from the best cows in the world. They probably aren't. For all I know, maybe it's faux leather. I really don't care. It's a good place to be. They've padded some of the surfaces. Some of them could be padded a bit more extra because you can feel it sort of done on the budget. But this is a relatively cheap car. I'm not going to say cheap, but relatively. This is an affordable EV with a decent range. It's a crossover. It doesn't have more. I think there's 13, 14 kilometers of range. There it kicks out a little bit and then just picks itself up and goes. And the big screen, it's really massive. I do wish it was a little bit further away from me so I didn't have to, because now it's more besides me than anything else because of it's angled very steeply, so it's sort of, I have to move my sight a lot to look at it. But the instrument cluster is this mix of, imagine a bit cheaper version of Audi's virtual cockpit, and there you have it. But it works, and it is like the Model S's. It is. That's gonna go either very well or gonna crash. It is. What was I supposed to say? You can adapt the information at least to a certain degree. You can even get your amp meter and your voltmeter and your revs out of this one, if that's what you want to nerd yourself down into. And you can probably turn the traction control off here as well and have fun. You're gonna crash into the car in front of you, man. Oh my god. I can go sideways too, it's just, this is my car. And the lights seem, so far I haven't tested very well, they seem very good. And it is a frunk. It has a de facto good frunk. Yes, it's hidden in a plastic cover you have to lift up, like in the Volvo, I forgot. But that adds it. The Volvo has a proper frunk, the Ford has a proper frunk, the Teslas have a proper frunk. This one has it. The Kia Hyundai, they have a frunk, but it's just this measly attempt at a frunk. Really. Same as the Jag, it's pathetic. But hey, you can store your cables, so yeah. I think it has 400 liters of luggage and something 1,000 liters of luggage with the seats down. Behind myself in the back seats, as you can see, it's okay space. But that said, these seats are now in the most rare possible seat configuration. So yeah, but I can fit because of the space for the retractable sunroof. This is not just a panoramic glass roof, it's a sunroof. So the sides of the glass roof sort of eats into the headroom, which means a fit, but I don't have much space for my head. So if you're more than 1 meter 85 centimeters tall, then, well, yeah, I mean, you can sit in the back fine. It's just, you know, it's a bit tight fit, but that's how it is. The steering wheel falls nice into hand. It's bit sharp-edged maybe, but you're not supposed to. Well, depends on how your hands are formed, I guess. It works for me, anyway. I can't really test out the stereo on my own music because I was instructed not to connect the car, not connect the phone to. I was instructed not to connect the phone to the car because they have a software issue. So then they have the phone in the Netherlands, which have to do something in China, which have to send the bug fix or something. They're working on it. I've learned something of the Chinese manufacturers this last year. They're very, very quick to act and to react and to solve problems. They really, really are. Unlike certain other manufacturers. So, yeah. This is going to be a proper winter test now. It's 8 o'clock in the evening, which doesn't mean I'm going to be done by 10, so it's going to be a late night for me. 0 degrees. Yeah. So far, but it's comfortable, and I like this. You sit well in the seat. Do I have lumbar support? No, I don't think I have. That's okay. The climate is on 22 degrees. I don't know if that's 22 European degrees or 22 Chinese degrees, but I'm not freezing, so I assume it's European degrees. So the lights seem like they're LEDs. They seem really crisp and clear in that LED kind of way. And yeah, me happy. I guess that's what you want. Now it's 3,300 RPMs, which is nice, I guess. So like I can't find a trip computer in here as such. Maybe it's somewhere in the main screen, but this is not the time to fiddle around in that without being stationary. Speaking of 70, not kilometers, but kilowatt hours. That's the size of this battery pack. Yeah, it's a big one. And it has 400 kilometers of range. Supposed to anyway in the summer. Definitely not now. Well, not in these conditions. And so this conditions, because I didn't look at the weather. I was told it was maybe come some snow. This is gonna make the range test really interesting. Yeah, 400 kilometers of range, and that price tag, and this level of, I mean, you sit there in comfort. It's relatively quiet in here as well. The lights seem to be very good. I don't know if they're on the level of the Tesla, but definitely not on the level of the Mercedes, the QC, because that had just silly high beams. But still, they are definitely not as bad as terrible, crappy, shitty lights that's on my electric Peugeot van, because they're awful. So yeah, I mean, you know, 400 kilometers of range, relatively decent, fast charging, 11 kilowatt onboard charger. Yeah, it has sort of everything you want, really. Region, you can put it in 3 levels, none of them are particularly good. Third one is decent, but it could be more region. It has a winter mode, this car. Maybe I think I should put it in winter mode, where it actually just allows you to go on region 1, which is a bit more than 0, I guess. But that's probably to avoid the car sliding about. Now, it leads us into the discussion about Tesla. They removed their selection on regeneration in the new cars for a while back, actually. And a lot of people have complained. I just say I don't really care, because the car feels the surface and adapts, and it does. I mean, my old Hyundai Ioniq did that. But this car is such a mediocre region in the first place that doesn't really matter. No one behind me now, so let's just for the fun of it. Yeah, it accelerates actually. It spins up a little bit, but not very much, and then let's see, just doing 60, 70 now, then flooring it. Yes, this thing does exactly what it's supposed to do. Straight and true, no problem. Swims a little bit on the braking, but this is getting probably quite icy now. The headlights, yeah. No, they're not on the level of the... What was that Chinese thing? The bid! There's several other cars as well. Are you okay? I think so. So, the person was out walking earlier. But you see this, the clear crispness of this. They're actually very good. This is the low beam. I really like the low beam a lot. High beam is, yeah, you know, it's good, but it could be better. But it's not really that bad. It's a little bit short of range only, maybe, but that's about it. I do like these headlights. Someone's gonna complain, oh, you know, there's good at something else, and I'm sure they're not, but, you know, give it some credit, okay? You just let's put it this way. The the Kia I drove, that cost a lot more than this. Those lights were crap. These aren't. They're good. They're not wow, but they're good. Decent spread, clear, crisp, good LED headlights. Not some shitty, crappy, terrible halogen, I don't know, candlelight thingies. Like the Kia and the Hyundai had, which is just awful in a modern car. It just really shouldn't be allowed. It's relatively quiet as well. You don't really sense speed in this thing. So I'm always shocked at how... I'm not going fast, because I don't want to wreck the car, and you have to respect the conditions and so on. And I do, but it does really tell you that this car feels safe, and it feels, you know, on these kind of roads, snow and all. It really doesn't give any surprises. We're at 87%, 241 kilometers. We're on the motorway. It just doesn't look like it. I was struck by a few things. This car is really quiet. Now we're doing 80, 90 kilometers an hour. No, that's not all that much, but you know how Norwegian roads are. It can be really noisy and stuff. Oh, look, they're out moving the snow and stuff. Probably also salting, so this is going to be a schmutzfest deluxe when this thing thaws up. So, but it really is quiet and comfortable in here. This thing costs about the same as an SR Plus. To put it into perspective, it has around the same range as the SR Plus. It also does about 400 kilometers. Probably a little bit more, maybe, if you're careful in the summer. Blah, 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 but let's call it equal. That has a much smaller battery than this, mind you, but because it's an LFP battery, it actually weighs about the same, so yeah. The both rear-wheel drive. Lights in the Model 3 are way better than this. Sound system, what little I've heard on it, sounds like it's maybe a bit better in the SR Plus. There's more bass in this one though, if that's important for you. But it sounds a little bit sharper and a little bit less, much less natural and high quality. But then again, I have just listened a little bit to some radio. We all know radio is not the best sound quality in the world. See out of it. Well, you can just know. Yeah, you can see out of it, but it's just not better. And it's the backup camera, and it's huge. It's relatively clear and well well resolution too. Something strange about the main picture, but you know, it's okay. You have a top-down view and everything, so it has all the cameras and stuff. Yeah, because I haven't pulled the luggage screen thingy out, I can hear a little bit of noise from the rear, from the luggage compartment, but it's not nearly as bad as in some other cars, not even close. So they've done a good job on this one, I must say. Let's spend some more time on the sound system and the radio. It's really clear and good. It's like the standard Model 3. There's probably no subwoofer in here. And like the standard Model 3, if you want a little bit more depth and you know, bass in your sound picture, not necessarily like a teenager, but more depth to it, then you probably could find those solutions, and they won't cost you an arm and a leg. This is the middle tier, and there is around what, 40,000, 30-40,000 NOK up to the top tier car, which probably has a sub and some more speakers and whatever. So I like the sound system. It could have been a little bit more mid-range, maybe a little bit more clarity and depth to it, but apart from that, I don't really have very much to complain about at all, really. There is cars with better sound systems than this, absolutely, and there's cars with, but it's not really cars with worse. I mean, there's not really, I mean, there is, you have the vans and kind of, but that's a different class of car, it's not comparable. There's no one that really makes bad cars anymore. Not like in the old days, this is crap and this is good. Ooh, I found a trip computer, a proper one. With travel time, we've been on the road for 2 hours. I don't know entirely how this resets, but well, whatever. Average speed of 56 kilometers, that sounds about right. Average consumption of 210 watt-hours per kilometer. It's terrible little writing in this thing, and I haven't added new glasses. But that's not bad considering snow and everything. I must say that's rather good. I just left the motorway. We're in Moss, so we're about 30 kilometers away from home. It's just a secure situation, and they're having the snowplows out, and it just doesn't work. So, but that's okay. This is going from being a mixed speed test to just something much simpler, but still it is what it is, and there's enough power in this. Kick it, and this is, now it's in winter mode, mind you, but it's civilian sport, it's not a Tesla, but I don't think it doesn't feel sluggish and slow. Anyway, sense of form. The tri-motor version has, well, that's 665 newton meters and 400 forces or something like that, and 0 to 60 and 4.8 or thereabouts, and it's really properly a quick thing. And that's properly quick thing for the price of a standard Model 3 with an extra paint color or something, roughly. At least in Norway, it's just really, this is really, in many ways, great value for money. Yeah, well, sorry, the camera ran out of power. So Yeah, I had to deliver the car without making an. Never managed to make the ending. But we used around 50% on the round trip. Say maybe 47. I estimate the range to be around 300, maybe 350 kilometers. Which it should be with that relatively big battery pack after all. Trip computer showed an average consumption of around 200 watt hours, which actually, when you think of it, is rather alright considering. So to sum it up, it looks very cool. I love the design of it. I'm always going on about having presence, and it sort of has in its own way. It definitely isn't boring. And the interior is... I like the interior. It could be done a little bit differently, but I like it. Back seats. That's when you see that this is not a big SUV, it's a crossover, because it's not... they're not tight, but they're not very roomy either. That said, my seats were in the most... and its most rearward position, so if you're a little bit shorter legs than me, then you have a bit more space in the back as well. Luggage space is actually rather decent, I think. I'm sorry about the dark pictures because, well, it's winter. And you have a frunk, which is actually surprisingly useful. The lights are, well, it depends on where you come from. If you come from the Kia EV6, the lights are tremendous. If you come from a Mercedes, a Beamer, or a or this car, the Tesla Model 3, the lights are adequate. So I think that's where we're with that. And then if if you live in a place where it's very dark and non-urban areas, then you just throw a light bar at it. It's not an LED bar. It's not like, they exist for a reason. But all in all, then the sound system was decent enough. Not, oh my god, I'm dying sound system, but this is a car. This is a mid-range model at a relatively affordable segment, so but it's not bad. It's, if you use the Opel Mokka-e as an example, I was sort of a bit disappointed by the inside of it because it was bland and boring. This isn't bland and boring, inside or outside. It costs maybe a little bit more, but it gives you so much more, and it feels safe, and it feels very safe actually in those winter conditions. Yeah, I must say I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. So if you need a crossover for around 400,000 NOK, then you consider the Marvel R. And you have that's a cool name, I can't get around that. So I think that's it for now. I've rambled on long enough. Do like, comment, subscribe, and thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Do take care out there. Bye bye.